Welcome to Rotax Max Challenge Africa Open action from V-Town in Gauteng, South Africa. We're heading into the DD2s in a very competitive, if not the most competitive category in the country, about to make its way out onto the circuit for the 3 heats. The final counts, but in qualifying, difficult conditions for our top contenders left Nick Verheul at the front and Brandon Smith there too. The two of them getting a slightly hotter track to deal with in qualifying on Saturday evening.
Yeah, it was a bit unexpected for sure. I've been struggling a bit today, but we found a problem just before qualifying. Actually, on the pre-grid there, the guys were giving me a hard time about being first on the track, because the way qualifying works is you go out one at a time on the track, and if you were the slowest in the last session, you're first out in qualifying. Today it worked in my favor. The temperatures dropped quite fast. So yeah, the times are so close between all of us there, and half a second puts you back 10 places. So it's quite exciting. Yeah.
This is one of those unique events. It's all about tomorrow, what happens. Every heat counts.
Yeah.
Not so much the first two in terms of, but it determines your grit for the final race. How much of that do you take into those first 2 heats?
It's like any other race for sure, where all the races count, but those races don't count for points. So you don't have to take an unnecessary risk to gain one position. You actually have to think a little bit more about it, and it's tactical for the last race. The tyre wear here is not a problem at the moment, so I think the guys will push in the first and second races. But yeah, it's all about, you get points for the first race, you get points for the second race, and it only determines where you start the last race.
Got to P2, 5,000ths of a second. We just messed out on pole, so I'm sure we can get it tomorrow, and I think we can. We'll see. We'll take the win in the first race, see where it goes from there.
The first 2 heats is important for one reason only. It determines the grid for the final. How do one strategically go into those 2 heats?
I just want to have a good pace in race 1 and race 2, put a good time in, finish high up, and then have a good starting position for race 3 to be able to be in a good fighting position.
Yeah, I think I don't think it was just track temperature. There were a few carts that unfortunately went off in front of me, and basically brought dirt onto the track, and me being the next car, I had to drive through it, and didn't end too well. On my first flying lap, I managed to only be 0.1 off, which was a surprise because obviously the kart isn't turned on yet. And after that, went through turn 1 again, and there was more debris on the track, and went through that and basically went straight off the track after that. Luckily the COC gave me another lap to do, but by then the track had cooled down, and I think in a session before that with the DD2 Masters, a competitor went off down the straights, and there was even more stuff on the track. So all in all, not the most lucky of days, but yeah, I mean, practice, is just practice, and when it counts in quali, it counts, and today it wasn't the best, but tomorrow the last race is what matters, and we work towards that.
Yeah, Brad and I also had really good pace. Our pace was sort of low 6s to mid, so yeah, we have really good race pace, and when it came to qualifying, we went out in the last group, and fortunately the track temperature had dropped quite a bit, so our group was a little bit slower than the previous guys. So we've got a few issues to sort out for tomorrow, but tomorrow's still a long day, and hopefully we can get them sorted for the final.
The 2 pre-finals, all important because they determine the grid position for the final. But at the same time, one can't take any risks.
Yeah, I think the pre-finals are all about managing your tyre wear. They're relatively short, they're only 12 laps each, and the finals 18. So, it's all about who can look after their tyres. You still got to race hard, but try to race clean, score as many points as you can, and try to get as high a starting place for the final.
It's going to be a bit of a chess game here today, there's no doubt about it. There's so many permutations that are going to come into play here today. We'll have to keep an eye as Verheul and Smith leads things out. They had slightly hotter track conditions to deal with. Whoa! What happened at the back there? Big action at the back. The second Ricardo kart there of Jamie Smith, I think it was. Got a little bit out of shape there, but big action coming out of that tram line and down into turn 1. Looks like they've all got through pretty much unscathed. Brandon Smith in 3rd place. Justin Allison already attacking for the lead in the barrel and finds a way past Verheul. Verheul goes wide, tucks in behind his South African teammate there. You can see both running the old South African colours there in their overalls, with Brandon Smith in the Ricardo in 3rd place. Brad Liebenberg's up to 4th. Nice manoeuvre. He's already made up 3 positions into half the track, and now looking to close in on the back end of Smith. Brad Liebenberg looks to try and take this victory today. Remember, he's got to take into account that he's got 2 other championships he's fighting for this season. They're not in karting, they're in saloon car racing. Currently leading the GTC 2 championship in his Hello Mobile GT and Volkswagen Motorsport GTI. And then in the Polo Cup, the Falcon Polo Cup, he sits joint championship leader with Jeff Kruger in the Universal Healthcare car with his Hello Mobile Polo. So, wow, there's just so many permutations that can come into play. And when you've got action like that, with Verheul returning the favor on Justin Allison, too many things can go wrong here today for a lot of drivers. Let's see what's going to happen as we get into this first race proper. Verheul from Allison. Justin Allison having a great drive here and hanging on. Nick Verheul at this stage pushing hard, and you can see just how hard he is. The Rotax Grand Finals, both Nick Verheul and Allison have been to before, remember. That's why they've got those South African overalls on. So they know what it takes. They've had experience there. They know exactly what it takes to get there too, which is why they're running at the front at the moment and trying to put in the hot lap times. Remember, for this first race, they've got to put in a very fast lap time to dictate who's going to be on the pole position. The fastest lap from race 1 takes that pole. Brad Liebenberg at this stage has got the fastest lap. So he might be starting from the front end as opposed to down in 7th like he was here for the start of race 1. Brandon Smith looks like he might go around the outside. No, Verheul forces him wide. Smith tried to go back at him. Verheul side by side. Here comes Brad Liebenberg diving through and up into 2nd possibly. Yes, the Brill squeezes out Verheul, and Verheul drops down into 3rd place with Smith on his tail. Hubbig is right there as well. Remember, Ben Hubbig has been to the World Finals 3 times as well. And he's having to fight hard there with his ex-South African teammate and counterpart here today. That's how tight it is getting. And it is so, so close. Nick Verheul fighting hard there, which all of a sudden Sebastian Boyd is coming to the play too. And look out for Brandon Smith, who is now starting to open up a bit of a margin to get away from that 2nd pack. Hubbig leads the 2nd pack. Not going to be an easy day in the saddle there for him. Nice to see Rob Whiting starting to come into the mix as well. And being forced a little bit wide there from Verheul. Verheul coming through nicely. But at the front end, things are starting to heat up. Justin Allison hangs on. Brad Liebenberg is closing him down though. Now these are 2 guys who have fought in World Finals in the past. Remember, Brad Liebenberg has been to 5 World Finals. Junior Max and 4 times for DD2. He went back-to-back championships 4 times here in SA in the DD2. So he's a tough man to beat in a DD2 kart. And Justin Allison is having his work cut out for him here, as he's got big pressure coming from Brad. Liebenberg setting another fast lap. That's going to ensure that he starts on the front row in pole position. Justin Allison is pushing hard though to be as high up as possible. So it's Burrell Art and Burrell Art. I wonder if there'll be some team orders here. I don't think so. Not the way that this team's run in the past. And there you can see open door and too easily done there for Brad Liebenberg. Now Liebenberg is going to try and bring Justin Allison along for the ride, make it a 1-2 here for the finish. That'll be perfect timing for the Burrell team for this first heat. Behind them, Brandon Smith is all on his own sim. They've got a 2nd pack led out by Ben Hubbig. Hubbig's been there 3 times. In fact, every time that Ben Hubbig's been to the World Finals, he's run close to the top 10 and been taken out. How many times have we seen that in the past? South African drivers leading and dominating right from the word go, right through the weekend, come to the final and they get taken out dramatically in the World Finals. Hopefully that's not going to be the case in 2019 and we come back with a couple more World Championships. Another lap down there, checkered flag comes out, and it is Brad Liebenberg taking the win comfortably in the end by 1.3 seconds over his teammate Justin Allison, and Brandon Smith down in 3rd place. It's Hubbig there in 4th, beating out Nick Verheul, Sebastian Boyd, Whiting, Bantu, Jamie Smith, and Ian Allnut, the top 10. Straight into heat number 2 now, and this is the one that's going to count for points. We've got 1 set of points sorted out. The 2nd set of points is where you finish up here, and that will dictate how you line up for race 3. Much better start from Hubbig, he's up to 3rd place. A little bit of scrapping in the background there to be sorted out. Good start from Sebastian Boyd, much better start from him. He's up in the 4th place with Jason Kutsia looking to try and close down on him. Then you've got in between that Nick Verheul. Verheul followed very closely there. Not such a great start this time from Justin Allison. Look how far back Allison is. Didn't get the start he wanted there, and unfortunately he's going to have to fight his way through this pack. But with Brad out front, going to be a very difficult day in the saddle for anybody else to close down on him. Brandon Smith's going to try and keep him honest for all 12 of these laps, and he's going to fight hard there with Ben Hubbig. Now Benji would love to be a little bit higher up. 2nd place will probably ensure that he starts on the front row with Brad, and he'll have to get past that Ricardo chassis there of Brandon Smith. Turn 1 again negotiated onto the back straight. Burrell, Ricardio, Tony Cart. That's how they go down that back straight away. And the Tony Cart pulls out, dives on the inside. Smith opens up the door, gives him some room to play. Here comes Boyd. Boyd pushing hard in the Cosmic, and Fahel in the CRG right on their tail. All 5 of the manufacturers represented in the top 5 carts here for the second heat of DD2. Fahel through on Boyd. Boyd losing out there. The Cosmic just opening up the door, and Boyd just, unfortunately, wrong position to allow Fahel to dive through. Behind that, they line up. And they're lining up thick and fast. Jamie Smith is in there, so is Rob Whiting, Anton Pomersheim, and Sharad Bantu, as they're all just in the background waiting for chances to open up. Sebastian Boyd, though, losing ground. Jason Kutsia making up ground. Watch out for Kutsia just in the background, slowly but surely closing in on Boyd. Hubig is closing in on the back end of his good friend and arch rival when it comes to this. How many times have we seen that in the past? Hubig and Liebenberg going at it at the front. Third place, just losing a little bit of ground there, but that's because Brandon Smith is going on the defensive to keep out Fahel and Boyd. He might be able to control it from there. He did from the first heat, so he knows exactly what he needs to do. Nicholas Fahel, though, has had a much better start this time and could potentially be squeezing out. Speaking of squeezing out, good dive on the inside there from the 3-3, and Jamie Smith nearly able to get ahead. He might have got ahead in the background. No, Kutsia, hang on. Jason Kutsia wants to try and bridge this gap down to his ex-teammate there. And Boyd and him were teammates for 2 seasons, remember? Now looking for a chance to close in and get past him. Back straight again, and it's Liebenberg. Look how cool, calm and collected he is. Hubig just follows him through. Remember, the next round of the National Championships heads down to Hubig's home track. He'll be looking to wrap things up there. So even though he's fighting hard here for second, and remember, this is not the one that counts. Only the next race of the day counts towards securing that seat in DD2s. Hubig will still look to take second place if he has to behind Brad Liebenberg, or even beat him to secure that seat. I'm not sure if Brad is going to be able to make it to the finals because of current national championship duties he'd have to do on the same weekend in Polo Cup and GTC. That all depends on whether or not they can possibly negotiate a new date for that national championship final. Down on the back straight again. Liebenberg from Hubig. Hubig from Smith. Smith has pulled a bit of a margin now. That's because Fahel is having to go on the defensive because of that man. Boyd diving through. Fahel loses out. Goes down to 5th place. And looking at the lap times right now, Jason Kutsia has just put in a stonker. So Kutsia is slowly but surely reeling in that second pack of carts. And in fact, he's got there. Kutsia now right on the tail of Fahel. CRG versus CRG going in there. And it looks like he wants to try and get up there as well. Remember, Jason Kutsia has had some international duties done at a world final in a DD2 after winning the Senior Max 2 years ago. He gets on the inside of his CRG stablemate and gets through. Now I can see why he was running those CRG overalls and racing in Senior Max in the Cosmic, but competing in DD2 in the CRG. So representing all the brands. I think he's got Tony Cart underwear on though. We'll have to check that out later. Coming into the back straight though, he's lost some ground there for Fahel. Fahel could be in trouble. And with a lap and 1 corner to go, it's Kutsia now on Boyd. Boyd is in a little bit of issues here as well because it looks like Jason Kutsia is the faster of the two. He's gone half a second quicker there on that penultimate lap. And he could potentially dive on the inside. He's got him. Into turn 1, Kutsia's found the maneuver and got through on the Cosmic. Boyd tries to come back at him. Sebastian Boyd is on the inside, gets back at him, underbraking for turn 2. A little bit of a compromise on the drive there if you take that inside line to make the move into turn 1. But sometimes you can make it stick into turn 2. Didn't make it stick this time. Watch for him coming out of 4. There it is on the inside. I think he just got through there. Kutsia's got ahead of Boyd as Brad Liebenberg heads to the line. These three are just looking for points. They're going to finish line astern, and top 3 is going to be Liebenberg, Hubig and Smith. Burrell, followed by the Tony Cart, followed by the Ricardio, and race 2 done and dusted. Flag is out, and Liebenberg makes it 2 out of 2. Hubig in second place will be happy with that. It'll move him to the front row for the final heat of the day. Kutsia beating out Boyd, Fahel beats out Allison, Smith, Whiting, Pomersheim and Bantu in the top 10.
I think, like I said yesterday, after quali we were a bit disappointed. Obviously the track dropped off quite a lot due to the temperatures. But not only that, there was a lot of debris on the laps that I completed in quali. But like I said, we knew we had the pace. yeah, like you say, it's translating into a pretty decent day. But the first 2 races just determine where you start this last race, and this is the one that counts for.
You're starting
everything.
on pole, so you know that going for you. But there's going to be a lot of hard charging, especially the first few laps.
Everyone's been doing this for quite a while. That's at the front there, so I'm expecting some good racing, some clean racing as well. But starting on pole, it's always an advantage to try and get your nose through turn 1 very clean. And I'm just going to try and adopt the same strategy that I've been doing, and just put my head down and bridge the gap, and then just maintain it from there.
Yeah, we managed to fix our issue we had from Heat 1, so we managed to climb up to second and sort of stay there. We managed our tyres a little bit in Heat 2, so Brad, we knew he was going to be quick here. It is his home track, so we're going to have to pull something out for the final, and hopefully we manage to save our tyres enough and have a little bit of an advantage for the final.
Longer race, and the possibility of a track temperature falling off towards the end again. So how do you play that?
Yeah, I think yesterday we all caught out a little bit with track temp. It dropped quite quickly. So hopefully it stays up a little bit. The wind is a little bit strong, so that's obviously affecting the track temperature as well. So, we've got to play with the elements, and hopefully we get it right for the final.
Final time now. This is the one that counts. This is the one that will secure the DD2 seat for Team SA in Italy. Liebenberg with a great start. And look at how Brandon Smith just stuck like a V-Town trailer on the back end of that kart. Absolutely amazing stuff there from Brandon Smith on the start, beating Hubbig into turn number 1, and looks back behind him to see exactly where Hubbig is. Boyd ahead of Allison. Allison ahead of Verheil. Verheil diving on the inside and just getting through there on the 7-4 kart of Robert Whiting. Much better start out of Rob Whiting as he comes into the triple left-handers right on the tailpiece there of the CRG man. So we got Burrell out front with Brad Liebenberg at the wheel. It's Ricardo in second, and that's Brandon Smith. Then in third place, it's the Tony Carter, Benji Hubbig. Cosmic is Sebastian Boyd. Burrell, that is the second Burrell on track of Justin Allison there in 5th place. So we got Burrells 1 and 5. A little bit of meat in the sandwich there in between them. And 3 CRGs filing in the background, looking for a chance to get past Allison. And led out by Verheil, who's there in the 6th spot. Behind him, you can see it is Whiting. And behind Whiting, they're just lining up. This is a great start to this one. And you can see just how hard Jason Kutsia is going to have to work here to get through and maybe make his way to the front end to try and get another seat for DD2. Brad Liebenberg, though, is doing it all right. Already putting in hot lap times, and we're only into lap number 3. He hasn't even given those Mojo tyres a chance to warm up yet as they go into the double right. Change up for second as Hubbard gets the second ahead of Smith. Boyd looking to do the same thing. Smith goes defensive into Tolkien. Doesn't give any lines away there. Comes wide and holds the inside line, but Boyd, he just forces his way past. Sebastian Boyd up to 3rd, Smith down to 4. Into the clutches of Allison. Allison and Verheil. It looks like they've just got ahead ever so slightly there of Rob Whiting. Yes, and they've squeezed out as well Jamie Smith in the background. So it's a big battle here for second. Hubbig leads it out at this point. But he's going to have his work cut out for him because they are closing in. Boyd is bringing that second pack along for the drive. And it looks like the third pack there of Verheil and Whiting want to join them. We've got only about 2 or 3 kart lengths to make up on that Ricardo of Brandon Smith. Brandon Smith, suns out, guns out, pushing hard and trying to close on the back end of Boyd and return the favour. 5 of 18, a long way to go still. Late braking required into turn 2. They're all late, but not as late as Brandon Smith as he makes up ground and gets back into 3rd place ahead of Boyd. So Boyd now have to do a little return of the favour again. Not easy to do, not when they're so evenly matched. These guys are working so hard right now. Long races are definitely going to take their effect. And here with the 18 lapper to finish up the day, that is definitely going to be a much harder day in the saddle. The Intrepid man in there as well, pushing hard as you can see. But it's not going to be an easy day there for Rob Whiting on the back end there of that CRG of Verheil. Flying through, left, right, through Peterson chicane. Right, left into turn 1. Back into the big right-hander. And Brad has pulled a nice margin. So is Hubbig. Hubbig is just maintaining that gap because Brandon Smith is having to fight and attack at the same time. And it's not easy to fight off the guys behind you when you're trying to attack the man in front of you. Concentration levels have to be right up there. Oh, little touch there. Could be a bit of a nose cone there for Verheil. He dives on the inside of Boyd, having to give him a tap from behind. Look at his nose. Looks okay for now. So maybe we'll get away with that one. They start another lap in a 2 corners time. And a dive on the inside. What a move there from Whiting. And that's opened up a slight change up there as well. As, losing out in the background, you can see just how they're lining up. Not the way they want to be going in there, that's for sure. Jamie Smith losing out a little bit of ground there as the battle continues there between Whiting, Verheul, and on their tail is Boyd. Boyd now being closed down by Kutsia. Kutsia, the third of the CRGs, joining that battle. So up front, top three getting away. Not really any issues for them. There's the battle. Battles for fourth place. Whiting diving through for 4. Ahead of Verheul, taking Boyd along for the ride. Verheul tries to cut back at him. Can't do that. 39 versus 69. 69 comes out front and just beats him there. Kutsia dives through as well, using the curb. Gets ahead and moves up nicely there to squeeze out his stablemate. Whiting and then Intrepid slowly but surely made his way to the front. Haven't really spoken much about that chassis, but it's the only one out there, but he's certainly doing a great job flying the flag high there for his team. Boyd on his tail, Kutsia closing down, and now ahead of Verheul. And you can see he's pulled already 2 or 3 kart lengths. And that's the reason being is that those two are getting away from him, and he doesn't want to get them a chance to get away too quickly. Justin Allison just behind that. We're into the final lap. Brad Liebenberg has opened up an incredible 4-second advantage. And he's going to go home with the Africa Open title. Whether or not he can use it, we'll wait and see. But it is take nothing away from this young man. Bad Brad has had a fantastic day. It hasn't been a bad day at all for him. And once again, he is going to secure a seat at the World Finals for DD2. It'll be the 5th time he's done that, and he comes across the line very confidently to take the win for Burrell Art. Ben Hubbig will come through for 2nd place. That's an important 2nd place there for Hubbig. If he can't win the national championships, there's a good possibility he might be able to take the reserve seat there from Brad. Brandon Smith finishes in 3rd, beating out Kutsia and Allison. It's Whiting, Boyd, Verheul, Jamie Smith, and Pomershan who make up the top 10.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't the worst of races I've had. Throughout the day we've had the pace. We knew we had the pace yesterday over the long runs that we did, and it all came together in the final. We did a little bit of a setup change. We just went a little bit narrow on the rear just to help with the traction, and obviously in the middle of the corner, and clearly it worked. Drove away in the final, just managed to break the slipstream. Obviously we had such a big headwind today, so it was very, very important just to try and get away in the beginning, and then, like I said before, I just wanted to maintain the gap, and managed to do so, and we won at the end, and I'm very happy about it.
He's very happy, but there's some permutations that might not allow him to go. Liebenberg taking the Africa Open. Hubbig has got a chance, and even Brandon Smith does too.